Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up here. XRP reaching critical levels. Could it 20x explosion from here? And the XRP calm before the storm, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to love it. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and DigPerspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $4.19 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's up 2.1. Bitcoin 121,000 plus right now, going right now just crazy. And Ethereum is 4,600 plus. The VC push is on. The PR campaign is on hard for the top two, and XRP is standing strong, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to talk about this in depth today, about where this could really go. $3.25 is where we're sitting here, up 1.3 on the 24. We're up 10.1 on the 7-day. Now, looking at this right here, ranging between 320 and 332. We will keep an eye on it. Ladies and gentlemen, iTrustCapital has come out with the premium custody account to complement the best IRA offering in the digital asset space, bar none. Write it down. And I tell you, this PCA account is looking hot, hot, hot. If you're a new member client, you can get a $100 funding bonus. And listen to this, 1% low flat fee for trading. You put your money and your crypto in, you can trade all the assets on the platform, but when you come out, you have to come out in crypto. Why is that? Because they're working hard to remove the actual attack vector from bad actors. And it's all based around if you or I, were to click on something we didn't intend to. They're doing everything they can to offer us a safe, secure solution for you and your assets. So God forbid, if you clicked on something that you shouldn't have, you gave up critical information you shouldn't have, the worst thing that could happen is the bad guy takes your stuff, cashes it out, and he can only send it to your checking account. That's the worst thing that could happen right there. So just know that they are working tirelessly to try to figure out the best way to offer you products and services, whether it's in the IRA side of the fence or whether it's on the regular side of the fence. You get institutional custody on both sides of the fence. Who doesn't want that? Listen, the platforms that I mess with, specifically are because they bring me a great sense of security. And that's how I'm starting to get the best night's sleep I've had since I've been in crypto, by using these platforms. This has been one of them for over 6 years. I was hacked 3 years ago, and I never even went and checked my iTrustCapital account because I knew the IRA was safe. It's under institutional grade custody. I worry about my bank accounts and my crypto exchanges and the rest of it. I knew that my portfolio was safe on here, and you will too. And all you have to do is go to itrustcapital.com/XRPArmy, click the link at the top of the description box. You can't miss it, and get started today. You will understand very quickly the benefits. Now, looking at this right here from Paul Barron, the next FOMC meeting is September 17th. Now, we could see the market rally until that date, but with so much anticipation surrounding a rate cut, if the Fed decides to hold off, that could be a major local top. Take a listen.
I think one of the things you have to be cognizant of is the fact that this could go sideways near the Fed meeting, which is the 16th and 17th of next month. So we've got about 3 weeks. Remember, we could see a lot of heat up from Trump to still put pressure on Powell to get that quarter. So be on the lookout for that. This may be one of those things where we do get a little bit of a sideways action, or possibly a retracement on the fastest moving asset out there right now, which of course is ETH. I think one of the...
Now, with that being said, to Paul's point here, if we get the cut, it could set the market crazy. If we don't get the cut, it'll be more sideways action like he's talked about here. And, to that point, I have been making the case that the Fed doesn't want to work with the president on cutting rates because the Fed is quietly very upset that they are being shut out of the new digital on-chain economy. The new monetary system does not have a seat at the table for the Federal Reserve to play in the new digital world. That's what the Anti-CBDC and Anti-Surveillance Act is all about. It's telling the Fed, bye-bye. You don't get to do what you're doing in the world we're in right now. The world we're moving to, you don't have a seat at the table. And here's another fun fact to come with this. Understanding that they're being shut out from being able to issue digital assets, digital dollars rather, into the economy, like they're doing with printed paper, you have to understand that that's going to cause them to be bloated with debt. Well, that's the whole reason the other side of the equation is opening up the issuance to private stablecoin issuers, right? Because they will be the ones that begin to hold all the treasuries, and we won't need the petrodollar agreement to elevate the US dollar as the world reserve currency anymore. That's what this is about. And the Fed knows better than anyone, and they're not broadcasting it yet, but at some point they will. And this problem is only going to get a little bigger until they finally put the Fed to sleep. And then take a look at this right here. This is Nate Garazzi, who's been saying BlackRock is going to file an ETF, doesn't care what anybody thinks. And you know what? I agree with him. Shout out to Nate. Let's listen to what he says right here in this clip.
Multiple issues or issuers for XRP ETFs, Solana ETFs, Cardano, HBAR. We could go on down the list, but there are a boatload of filings out there. And the expectation is that the standardized crypto framework will be implemented, say, in the next 2 months or so. And so if and when that happens, I think you're going to see the floodgates open. We're going to see a wave of approvals, and you're going to see, again, a boatload of new crypto ETFs coming to market.
I think Nate's got it on point here. You know, not to mention the fact in that same time frame, we should see the Clarities Act passed and then signed into law by October. We should see Ripple get that national chartered banking license and a Federal Reserve master account, securing what I believe is that Ripple will be the designated Federal Reserve 2.0 of the new digital on-chain economy. Here is SEC's Hester Peirce talking about we're looking for a way for retail to get earlier access to growth. And I love this from Hester and the SEC. And what I say is, well, let's start with getting rid of the accredited investor rule, Hester.
Let's talk a little bit about that EO. So it instructs the Department of Labor and the SEC to adjust their rules and regulations to allow those retirement accounts to invest in private assets, to invest in crypto, or at least to allow it. How will the SEC approach this? What does that checklist look like?
Katie, it's great to be here. I think we've already started that process of opening the private markets to retail and thinking about ways that we can get them access in a way that's diversified, professionally managed, and consistent with their investing timeframes. And so I think we'll just continue with that work.
Appreciate that context. So as we continue on and as you approach this, talk us through some of the potential risks that you're thinking about, because certainly a lot of folks on Wall Street and elsewhere have been anticipating these rule changes, but there's also a lot of concern, too, about putting what are risky assets in retirement accounts.
Yes, I mean, I think those are legitimate concerns. What we've seen, of course, is that the public markets are dominated by several large companies, and also companies are waiting longer to go public. And so we're looking for a way for retail to get earlier access to the growth of companies. And so that's really the goal of it.
There you have it. You know, it was just a few short months ago, and it was never Hester Peirce at the SEC, by the way, but it was just a few short months ago that Gary Gensler's SEC wouldn't have any of what is going on right now happening. None of it. Not some of it, none of it. I can tell you what a difference an election makes. It's still very surreal to me, just like the Ripple case is over. Let's just say that one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ripple SEC versus Ripple case is actually over. It is finally over. And every time I say it, it just feels better and better and better. And with that being said, we see the direction that the SEC is embracing this innovation, and look who's coming this way. Well, guess who's going public on the New York Stock Exchange? It's bullish. That's right. Yeah, it's bullish. Thomas Farley, who came from the New York Stock Exchange, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a full circle moment for him, obviously. And Bullish is going public right now to help with the digital asset exchange, goes public on the New York Stock Exchange. This is the actual ringing of the bell right here. This wouldn't be happening if Gary Gensler was still there in the previous administration. Yeah, pack your stuff. Get out of here, right? This is American innovation. And you know what? It's only going to get bigger and better. The number of times people said crypto was a fad, I lost count, but no one's thinking this is going to go away anymore. And that's really the truth here. Let's listen to Ondo Finance, which is working to tokenize the entire stock market and the entire U.S. bond market. Take a listen.
The future
In conjunction with Ripple, BlackRock, and the XRP ledger, I should add.
that we are working towards with Ondo Finance truly is one where financial services and capital markets more broadly truly operate and move 24/7, and where anyone globally with an internet connection can have access to US financial products whenever they want. The vision that we have for the next couple of years is that anyone with a stable coin is going to essentially be able to buy any US stock or ETF or mutual fund that they want 24/5, 24/7, being able to get margin on the assets they hold across different asset classes. We really want to break open the barriers that currently still exist for a global user base to have access to the financial products and services that they want. The future that we are working.
There we go. You know, this to me is so incredible because you could see the temperament from this gentleman here, Ondo's CSO, Ian DeBode, and the massive shift in institutional sentiment towards tokenized assets. This is where I remind everybody, it's not just about payments for Ripple, right? Remember, Ripple has built a one-stop shop. So tokenization, custody of the assets, to actual payments, DeFi, lending, right? All of it. It's all right there. So it is a soup to nuts, one-stop shop. And you have to ask yourself, understanding that the XRP ledger has a built-in decentralized exchange in the layer 1, that is the world exchange. That is the NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, Tokyo Exchange, and every other exchange in the world all in one. When they plug into this thing, that is the world exchange. And everyone else can make markets through that world exchange. Don't believe it, it's still true. New York Stock Exchange is a node on the XRP ledger, and so on and so on and so on. That's what we're talking about here. So this is remarkable to me where we're going. And I think it is going to happen in a very, very short period of time. You know, what took the internet 20 years to do, I think it'll take 5 to 8 for this space to do, because you won't have to explain to anybody what the internet is. And in order for all of this to happen, the OCC says, the OCC approves proposals, listen to this, to establish banks that have a reasonable chance of successful business and operations, provide fair access to financial services, comply with laws and regulation, promote fair treatment of customers, and foster healthy competition. The decision to charter de novo bank should be a function of the proposed business model, quality of management, investor demand, and customer needs. Well, guess what? Translation to this, Ripple's getting that national charter banking license. You can go ahead and write it down, because none of this stuff is going to happen without them being full circle with that banking license, putting them in the heart of the legacy financial system. And this will be the bank that all the other banks go to tokenize their products, to begin to custody their products, and then offer them and use them in their business model. This is getting very, very good. Again, I remind everybody of this diagram. It's the Federal Reserve themselves that highlight RippleNet and Stellar for the G20 nations to have a presence of all their money on, right? Every CBDC, every stable coin from every different G20 nation with the largest economies in the world running on the XRP ledger. What do you think everyone in the world will want to use then? Let's take a look at some TA, shall we? Because I tell you, I am starting to feel like this market is poised for liftoff. And remember, after we come back from recess, Congress is going to get to it. They're going to start working in the Senate on that Clarities Act. And then we're going to see it passed and signed into law by October. The time is getting very close now. Ali chart says here, XRP bullish retest completed, 360 target back in play. I love hearing that, but let's expand out a little bit. Here's the one and only Will from Crypto Insight UK. This guy's super sharp. Take a listen to this clip here from DAI and him.
So people are now saying to me, oh, XRP is just always lagging and all this sort of stuff. And I don't think it is. I actually think the opposite. I think XRP is leading this cycle. So I think that XRP's had this initial move and then we've consolidated for a large period. And then the next move is XRP again leading other altcoins. And I say that because if we look at XRP ETH, let's have a look at XRP ETH being the largest altcoin in the space. What we can see is we've actually had quite a significant outperformance against ETH so far. So maybe XRP does have only one more leg in it, but I do think we have potentially two more legs in XRP. But XRP ETH has now pulled back into this zone that I said was the strongest area of support. I'm going to take us down on the daily. I've been looking for a call that potentially could pull back into this area. I think that very soon we'll see XRP ETH start to push to the upside. Again, we've got bullish divergences here as price makes lower lows, and the RSI at some point, if it starts to bottom in this area, would be making a higher low, and then we would see XRP taking over the show again. But when people say, oh, XRP is not moved, XRP is always last to move, I actually think that's the opposite. I think XRP's moved first. We've realistically moved from around 51 cent up to current prices at 327 so far this cycle. You can obviously include this price action here if you want to. If you want to go from the absolute lows at 29 cent, so far what we've done for XRP is a 10x. We've done over 1,000%. And if we look at something like ETH, we can include the cycle lows to where we are right now. ETH has done a 4.3x. So even for ETH, pressing all-time highs now, and as exciting as ETH feels, XRP has actually outperformed ETH by double. So that's something to take into consideration. So when people say, "Oh, it's not moved and it's lagging," so I essentially think we're in alt season.
I agree with Will. He's amazing. Give him a follow at Crypto Insight UK right there.
So people are now saying to me, "Oh,
one second, didn't mean to have that play again." But now let's take a look at this. Steph is Crypto says XRP is now where ETH was in 2017, right before a 20 times explosion. That's 2,000 time explosion, right? I remember when ETH did this. I do. I remember watching this. This was insane. I remember watching it go from, I think it was around $8 or a little more than that, wherever it was at, and it went to like over $800 or $900, whatever it was, in a very short period of time. It was remarkable to watch. Now, I will say this. Here we are at this moment that we're at, and if we were to see a 20 times, which is a 2,000% gain, which, to be perfectly honest, in XRP's history is nothing for XRP to do. It's true. Don't believe it, it's still true. I'm not saying it will happen this time. I'm just saying if history repeats or somewhere even close, we're going to see something miraculous happen here. It's going to be mind-blowing. And if that does happen, look, you should have a plan for if it doesn't and it's lower. You should have a plan for if it's higher, right? I mean, that's the whole thing, is to have a plan for every contingency. So, or a contingency for every outcome. So, with that being said, you know, look, 20 times would put us at like 60. I think I did the math on this a minute ago. Let me see if I can remember here. It would put us at $65 at current prices. Now, none of us will have a problem with that. But you remember, you know, also Gert Van Lagen told us we could see a $34 XRP as a first target because of a 7-year bottom retest completing here. What I say is if you go back to 2017 and 18, you see how we went halfway up and then we fell back and ran sideways. Well, look at here. Look at how similar that is, and now we're running sideways. Could we be about to see this fractal break off and send it again? And if it does, look, this is not just straight up like this arrow is. This is up, then back, then up, then back, then up and over, then up. and then way back, pull back, and then up, and then over, and then you can see it start to pull back. So you see that it's not one straight shot, even though it looks like it from here, but it isn't. But I tell you what, it is eerily similar to 2017, 2018. And if that's the case, then we could potentially see that shoot up, a little bit of a retrace, and then another shoot up. Because I do believe we run the chance to see a super cycle this year and see another 2 breakouts before this run is over. But it's not financial advice from me, him, or anyone else. It's just our digital perspectives. I'll take whatever's coming, but I tell you, what is coming in the long term is what I'm truly here for. And that's 4 and 5 digit XRP serving the world. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.